All right, guys, welcome back. Let's get into it. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Today, we're going to talk about my Triple G build, Triple G19. All right, that's the Gator Mouth Grit Grips Glock 19 build. All right, guys, and to be honest with you, I never thought that I would own a Glock 19. Now, I've always liked them, but the reason is because of the grip angle on the stock Glock 19. It's 22 degrees, of course, like all the other Glocks. But for some reason, on the stock Glock 19, the bottom of the frame presses right in the middle of my palm. All right. Very uncomfortable. The only Glock that does that. All right. So the actual Grit Grips frame popped up in my feeds. And I thought about how custom it looks. Started doing some research. And man, I was blown away by it. All right. So as you can see, we went with the flat dark earth for this build. You guys know that follow me. I normally do like some type of wild, crazy color that pops out on something. But because this frame was already flat dark earth, I said, well, let's keep that theme for the whole build, flat dark earth and black. All right, so first thing we'll go over is let's get into the slide. All right, then we'll come back to the actual frame itself. Now, I decided to run with a Dagger SW5 for this build. Looked very aggressive. It also looked like it would be the lightest one. I don't like heavy firearms, but I said if I was going to get a Glock 19, then I would get something with a lot of window cuts and shavings off of the slide, to help keep it as light as possible. All right. So as you can see, has the RMR cut, very aggressive window cuts. All right. Gator mouth in the front, a lot of weight removed. All right, guys. Nice blocks cut out. Also front serrations right here. And, matches the frame. All right. Some slides that you look at, when they're assembled on the frame, they just kind of look funny. They don't look like they mesh well with the design of the frame. But this one looks pretty good. All right, guys. Now, within this slide, first thing I know you guys see that jumps out, stock Glock front sight. Out of all the sights that I have on a lot of different firearms, I can acquire a target the fastest with this white dot Glock sight. And that's over my night sights, over, of course, in the daytime is what I'm talking about. All right. So I actually not going to carry this gun at night, or if I do, I'll have it, just in well lit places if I know I'm going somewhere where it's pretty lit. Rear sight. This is a serrated, blacked out Taurus GX4 rear sight. I love the sight picture. All right. It gives just enough room when you look through there on each side of the front sight where I can still see the target. It doesn't cover up everything. Some rear sights are so tight that you only see the front sight and you can't see anything else around the sight. So I love this setup. This rear sight is equivalent to a 6.5 Glock polymer sight that has the single long line on the side. All right, guys. So those of you that know, all right. Perfect for this setup. Also went with the Glock slide cover plate. Has the serrations, matches the sight. Keep the theme going. All right, guys. We're just going to talk about external parts. So now the extractor is PSA. I like this extractor because the shade of black that it is, it's darker than the black on the Glock extractor. And for some reason on all my Glock extractors, they turn colors, like they turn like a dark grayish, color after time. So I want to see if this stays and remains the jet black color. All right. For the extractor plunger, depressor, also black. That's PSA. If you notice your Glock, these are silver. All right. On this part of the slide, I wanted to keep everything black and flat dark earth. All right. So that's the only reason I actually kept that in the firearm, or in the slide, I should say. All right, guys. Moving right along. As you can see, we got this nice fluted barrel here. I had this barrel already. This is a Lone Wolf Alpha. All right. This was actually before Lone Wolf started catching a lot of flack, and when they made great products. I haven't bought anything from Lone Wolf since, but I know this match grade barrel right here is one heck of a barrel. All right, guys. I even still had a box. This is when they had the old logo. This is from 2000. I bought this in 2016. All right, guys. Still got the box. So I'm pretty sure the logo has changed since then. Haven't shot it yet, but this barrel is very accurate when I had it in my 26, my Glock 26. All right, guys. So I think it was a great addition. A few parts that I had already just went into this build and were things that I didn't have to purchase, and I knew they would fit great with what I was trying to do with this firearm. All right. So the purpose of this build is just basically, daytime gun with a custom look and as light as possible. All right. I don't like heavy firearms. Now, getting back to the Grit Grips frame. The only thing I would say is if you do a lot of shooting at the range, I can see this potentially by them having the stippling goes up so high that you probably will get some type of knuckle irritation right here. All right. But that's just nitpicking, guys, because in a defensive situation, you want all the grip you can get. All right. And that's only going to last 3 seconds. So it's pretty much null and void, unless you're just thinking about buying a frame or a gun just to take to the range and shoot it all day, 2 or 3 times a week. If you're shooting 100, 200, 300 rounds, then yeah, you're going to have like some type of burn or, something right there. All right. But for carrying and defensive purposes, it's a non-issue. All right, guys. All right, let's take a break into action. I'm actually going to weigh the firearm. This is without the magazine. .27 ounces. For a Glock 19, that is wild. All right. Those of you that know, Glock 19 is heavier than that stock Glock. All right. Again, this is without the magazine. We'll get to the magazines in a second. But back to the Grit Grips frame. Only thing that came with this frame is the Gen 4 ambidextrous magazine release in the spring, of course. All right. They do sell a version that comes with the internal parts. You can get Grit Grips internal parts, or you can get Glock internal parts. All right. Y'all know over here on this channel, I do my own thing. So I like to customize. So I just got it with no internal parts. And the only thing, like I said, it just had the Gen 4 mag release, which is great, by the way. All right. It's not in the way. Has a nice shape to it. Releases very nicely. Now, one thing I did notice is that where your thumb goes, it doesn't have the little cutout like the stock Glocks have. All right. That's just one little small, knock. All right. But it does have a slight indentation, and the palm swells out as it goes toward this middle part. So it's a really nice feel, guys. Really nice feel. All right. Just going over some things that, just could have made it a little bit better. All right. These pinholes, they're very, very tight. Very, very tight. I actually messed up the trigger pin here in the back, the stock Glock trigger pin. Don't know if any of you guys know, but that stock Glock trigger pin is actually plastic. So I destroyed that. And they'll loosen up, the holes will loosen up and stuff. You can put a little oil or something on your pins to help them go through there. But I just did away with those and broke out the stainless pin set. All right, didn't have any issues. Extended slide release. I like to go with those. Don't want to be in a crazy situation and go to reach, drop your slide when you put the new mag in and it doesn't drop. You're just wasting time. All right, guys. So it has that little extra bump on the end. Allows you to get purchase on that no matter what. Flat face polymer. Orange County trigger. Also pins in the trigger and the trigger shoe. Stainless. So it tied in very well with the look. This undercut right here, the main undercut, marvelous. It is sensational, guys. A lot of guys never show you like their fingers and their hand on the gun, but get all 3 fingers on there, guys. 18-degree grip angle. Fits perfect. All right. Has a little flare slightly at the bottom. All right. Very comfortable. You don't even notice it. Actually helps in managing recoil. Now, this second undercut, I could do without it, but, it comes with the frame. Gives it a more custom look. I really don't need it. Does have grooves in the front. For those of us and those of you that put your finger on the front. Not aggressive. Very nice quality. Got your single slot rail in the front of the firearm. Guys, let me know what light or laser you guys suggest. Also, what optic, what RMR, footprint optic do you guys suggest? All right. Grip wraps all the way around, 360 degrees. Barely noticeable Grit Grips logo here. Then Grit Grips, North Charleston, South Carolina, right there on the right hand side. All right, guys. Very nice looking firearm. Forgot to mention, you got a beaver back here. Nice beaver tail. All right, no slide bite. Perfect. I mean, basically, they took everything that was a complaint, probably on the Glock 19, and just knocked it out of the park, guys. Got this ledge here on both sides. It goes on an angle. And then it has a little shelf right here. Same texture as on the back of the frame. Does help you control recoil. Only little tidbit, nitpicking again, is that when your finger is here, it does put the tip of your finger very close to the slide. So those of you that like to press in hard with your thumb, if you don't watch it, you will get a malfunction from slowing that slide down. All right. So maybe Grit Grips, if you can just drop it down a couple millimeters. All right. But, in all, not really a complaint. All right. It's on both sides. Guys, they did a hell of a job with this frame. Slide stop, as you can see, is recessed. Went with the Glock original slide stop. All right, you don't need it. You don't need an extended one, but if you want to get one, that's fine, but you really don't need it because of it being recessed in that area. All right, another thing that I noticed, if you look behind the trigger safety, there's a little shelf right there that catches your safety blade. I thought that was pretty interesting. All right. And that gives you more freedom when you're customizing. If you get into some real aggressive trigger safety modifications, all right, Johnny Glock type stuff. All right, guys, thought that was pretty neat. All right, guys, so pretty much in closing, we'll measure these magazines, the weight. I already had a Glock 19 15 round magazine from a 26 and got an Omega. So this Omega mag is awesome, guys. Glock mag, 2.45 ounces. Omega mag, 1.9 ounces. All right. Now, it does make a difference when you're trying to save all the weight you can. Total weight unloaded, all right, with the magazine in. You see it, guys, 21.18 ounces. Can't beat it for a Glock 19. All right, guys. Stock Glock 19 is way heavier than this. This is about as light as you're going to get it. All right. Now, mag drops freely. It's a very good point about the grit grips. It's not tight. Nice positive click on insertion. It's either mag. All right. Drops right out. And these are empty, as you guys can see. So you don't need to grab it or do anything. It'll just drop right out of there. So they did a great job. They knocked it out of the park with this grit grips frame. All right, guys. Gun is empty. Stainless guide rod. Pretty awesome, guys. Red follower on the Omega mag. Just real quick, I'll do a separate video on this, but as you can see, red follower, red base plate on the inside, ETS logo on the bottom. All right, guys, we got the push your balls in skill coming up in a few seconds, but first, a few more key points about the grit grips frame. All right. It comes with your rails on the side, on the inside. So you got nickel plated rails molded into the frame. All right. It is also compatible with Gen 3 Glock 19 parts. Okay. And that's including the pins as well. All right. Now keep in mind, as we said earlier, the only magazine release that you can use is a Gen 4. All right. So if you do want to change this particular magazine release out, make sure you got Gen 4. And on that note, the trigger housing. Trigger housing, you can use a Gen 4. I know most people prefer the Gen 3, so you can actually use either or on the trigger housing, okay? It's going to be compatible with most Glock 19 holsters, all right, guys? So that takes a lot of worry and a lot of agony out of some of you guys' minds, because you don't want to have to go out and buy, you know, new holsters, or, you know, when it comes to some of those parts, you may have some parts already at home from previous builds and stuff like that. So that makes it, you know, even more of a plus. All right, guys. So the moment is here. The push your balls in skill. All right. It is a Glock 19, pretty much Glock 19 clone. Even though the grip angle has been reduced to 18 degrees, it is still one of the most ball pushingest firearms that I own. All right, guys, I don't own a lot of long handguns, but on the push your balls in scale, the Triple G19 comes in at a whopping 4 stars, and that's appendix carry, guys. So not your most ideal firearm for carrying appendix, but you can make it work. All right, so there we have it, guys. If any of this information helps you, remember, comment, like, subscribe. Don't forget to let me know, which lights, lasers, also RMR optics that you guys recommend. All right, see you on the next one.